Hey, this is Ross Payne with Role-Playing Public Radio. This is RPPR episode 151, Shotgun Summaries.
Woo!
Yes.
And we're on fire.
We are, okay. In some scenarios, that does happen. This is
Flames, side of your head?
This episode is going to be talking about the Delta Green Shotgun Scenario Contest. This is an annual tradition going back many a year. And I have competed in this contest for a while now. I've never won, but I'm fine. I'm fine.
He doesn't. It's like Ross does not take it personally.
I do not take it personally.
Through clenched teeth.
It's
Ross, this is a safe space. We support you.
I thank you, Dan. For me, it's just a fun little thing to do while I, taking a break from longer writing projects that are driving me insane. Is what it is, and the idea is to take a 1,500 word, or to write a 1,500 word scenario or fewer words, not counting stat blocks, in the Delta Green setting. And some very interesting things have been created over the years. So I have won second place a couple of times. So anyway, so yeah.
Point of clarification, when you're talking about writing projects that are driving you insane, are we talking like the stress level of working on them driving you insane, or are we talking like Ruin, where the inherent writing project is madness?
We'll say stress.
Also, yes.
I'm going to go with stress. Because So, but before we get into that, I want to go over a little bit of news. First, of course, we have Tom, David, and Dan here.
Hello.
To join us tonight. And we actually just recorded After Hours Wilderlands Travel Vacation Extravaganza Part 2. That was great, very funny episode. Catch that on After Hours.
So we are loopy as hell.
Yeah, no, we're fine.
We have definitely not been drinking.
Well, clearly not.
So first off, I do a bit of news. By the time I'm going on a vacation this month. I'm going to Taiwan in the Philippines, hang out with my brother and
world travel.
I'm world travel.
He's got stamps in his passport.
I do.
Joke's just not as funny the second time around. So you're going to have to subscribe to the Patreon to hear it the first time and be funny.
I have made some changes to how we schedule online Patreon games. Normally, I would make a post on the Patreon itself and then coordinate. And as we've expanded to include other RPPR cast members as GMs, I've been kind of the bottleneck, having to relay all messages between the GMs and the players, because I'm the only one who has access to the Patreon account as the creator. And that's kind of annoying because I have two-factor authentication on it, and so other people can't really use it. Even if I did give them my login information, that's a very awkward security thing. So in order to get around that and allow the patrons to communicate directly with RPPR cast members and let them know, could you run this kind of game, or could you run it this time of day, or on this day or something like that, I'm doing this experiment to use the RPPR Patreon Discord as a way for the players and game masters to communicate directly with each other. So I will link to a Patreon post that explains it in more detail, but basically I've added new channels to the Patreon Discord, one for announcing new games, one for joining games, scheduling them, and then one for just chatting about it. So if you're interested in being able to play, we're going to be trying to do more games, like 4 games a month, 1 game every week. And we have multiple GMs now. We not only have me, Aaron, and Sean. We also have Kyle from Roleplay Studios and Maple Syrup Blood Money. That's Kyle Carty. And then, of course, Bridget is going to be joining us as a GM. And so if you've liked her games of Shadowrun and Fate Samurai, which are games about serious and mature people making serious and mature decisions.
Oh sure, yeah. Oh yeah,
yeah. I don't know why you're laughing, Dan. That was totally sincere. Wolf Night Hype. You can play in one of her games that she'll be running later this month. She might even be running Maid or Magic.
OMG.
That was the number one. That's been the number one requested game so far. Of course, that may be just Richard on the
because Richard likes to watch people suffer.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I can say that because we've talked about
He's
this.
He's kind of like Pinhead,
the
sweet suffering.
So this is a great time to join the Patreon if you're interested in that. Of course, we've made some other changes to the Patreon. We're doing a new additional show instead of What the Heck. We're doing Don't Cross the Streams. Don't Cross the Streams is looking at things that are on streaming sites. Right now, we're looking at Netflix because Netflix has a bottomless pit of weird stuff.
It's a cornucopia.
And dissecting something on Netflix for gaming purposes. So in our first episode, we looked at a Steven Seagal movie, Force of Execution.
Which, by the way, if you didn't know, Steven Seagal's still alive and doing movies.
Yeah, believe it or not, he has not died of a drug overdose. He seems like the kind of guy who would do that. Or autoerotic asphyxiation.
More like a guy who would die of a bacon overdose.
All right, fair enough.
You've seen him of late.
Yeah. I have seen him as late because I did see Force of Execution, which is a...
I'm sorry, Ross.
Yeah. Anyways, we had a good time making fun of it and dissecting ways we could use it as scenario, gaming fodder. Thad actually created a random Steven Seagal table. How will Steven Seagal show up in your game? What is he doing?
I'm sorry, Thad. And I'm sorry to you, Internet.
And then our second episode, we talk about the Chronicles of the Ghostly Tribe, a 2015 Chinese summer blockbuster movie that is literally batshit insane because there are bats that are made of fire.
Like you do.
Like you do.
I'm sorry, Internet.
And Bridget's writing something for that.
Sorry, Bridget.
We all had a good time with it because it's actually way better than the Steven Seagal movie. It's like there are legitimate good moments in it.
Oh, because that's a high bar, high praise from Ross Payton, connoisseur of fine movies.
Yeah, no, it's well, actually, I'll put one of the episodes out as a preview on the main feed, so you can take a listen to that. So we're still focused on gaming stuff, even though we're doing movies now. But we got Faye, Sean, and I got pretty burned out on just reviewing terrible RPG book after terrible RPG book after doing WOT and then riffs.
There's only so much the human mind can take.
Yeah, so movies are, with also a more varied cast, we're getting people in, like Bridget, and Caleb is actually in episode 2. He watched...
What?
Yes.
You got Caleb to do something that's not Mix 6.
Yep.
Good job.
So... Yeah, if you want to, I'll put the Caleb episode up, the Caleb and Bridget episode, so you can listen to them talk about how fucking crazy that movie is. There's so much. There's a Elvis impersonator who sings about Genghis Khan, and
what?
Seems legit.
Yeah, and he's in a restaurant that all the waitresses dressed up as maids, and like that's they never explain that. That's just background. That's not even the point of the scene.
I'm sorry.
It's fun. So we are now back to getting a little more serious, I guess. So going back to Delta Green. So Delta Green, is of course obviously a great modern horror game setting, and there's been an active community for it for a long time. Actually, since I think maybe the late 90s. This is the Delta Green email list, and I've been on this list a long time myself. And they talk a lot. Probably every member, including me, is on a lot of lists now because we talk about military grade encryption and weapons of mass destruction and
you're on some watch lists.
Yeah, we're on some watch lists, and so
well, aren't we all?
Yeah, and
I mean, we've been on this podcast for how long?
So at some point, a member, Kenneth Scroggins, came up with this idea of like there's a little summation on the Delta Green wiki of coming up with a really short scenario concept, not a full thing, just enough to get you into the game, and he called them a shotgun scenario. And so ever since then, it's been an informal contest just done by the members of the list to do this. And last couple of years, there have been a lot more entries than ever since the new edition of Delta Green came out. There have been a lot more entries to the contest. And this year is no different. I had an entry called Under New Management, which if you follow our AP feed, that was actual play. I did record a game of it.
I was there.
Tom was in it. Tom had a great time.
Sure we did.
And... but there were like quite a few entries in this in last year's contest, and so I asked everybody here to just read as many as they could and talk about them. And so first, we could just sort of do an overall impression of last year's entries, like without getting into details. Like, what was your overall impression of them? So who wants to go first?
Well, I've got one here that I absolutely love because it reminded me of a different game that we played, Dirty World.
Well, what was your overall impression of the ones?
Well, my overall impression, the statement, "we weren't briefed,"
okay,
definitely comes to mind. Most of the shotgun scenarios that I read kind of take your investigators and throw them directly into the fire, and it's, all right, you'll figure it out, or die. Coin toss. And it's not so much a case of you weren't briefed because we didn't want to brief you. It's more briefings take time, and we don't have that because shit done got real. You're in.
Now clean up the mess.
One common theme in a lot of these shotgun scenarios is because it's 1,500 words or less. You are very limited. You really have to get to the point.
There's no room for fat.
Yeah, you have to get to the point very quickly. So a lot of them are actually not even full scenarios, not like a full nights of gaming. They're more like encounters, which is both good and bad. It's bad in that, like, you can't just take one and get a full night of game out of it, but it's good because you can string them together or use them to fill in another scenario. So, a lot of the published scenarios even have like, have the players do something else for a while, have them blah, 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 and then the threat comes back and, isn't that fucked up? So you could throw in a shotgun scenario as that interlude, or you could have that as just, it's almost like a random, I wouldn't say a random encounter table, but it kind of serves that I need a little bit extra to go in here. And
or it would be a great thing where it's, Bob was supposed to be here tonight, but unfortunately life happened to Bob. Mm-hmm. And
Damn
so,
it, Bob.
Hey, Bob has to do what Bob has to do.
Damn it, Bob.
Damn it, Bob. So instead of continuing with this campaign, and we're going to need Bob for this because he's the only member of our group that speaks Aramaic.
Damn it, Bob.
So instead of continuing with the thing that we were doing, we're just going to have to do a one night, one shot. Here's a nice one.
Yeah.
We're just going to grab a shotgun scenario.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fine, Bob.
All right, that's a good. So David, you're probably the least familiar out of all of us with Delta Green.
That's a David.
Dan.
Yeah.
You're the least familiar with it.
I'm the least familiar with all things horror mythos. Nonsense.
Whoa. Okay. Well,
Nonsense.
Yeah, that's fair.
The crazy people wrote the source material, Peyton. What more do you want?
All right. So what was your impression overall?
They were very short adventures. They were, there was a clear objective-ish. More often than not, there was some things that were like really fucking weird. And I'm just sitting there going, I know next to nothing about Delta Green except for what I experience at Ross's table.
All right. That's fair. So that is also another critique, is they're very kind of, some of them you could apply to other horror settings, but a lot of them are very unique to Delta Green.
Because there's not room for fat. There's not room for explanation. There's a level of assumption of, if you're using a Delta Green shotgun scenario, you have at least this much familiarity with Delta Green.
Yeah, that's fair. And also that they're tailored for the Delta Green framing device, i.e.
Yes. A Night at the
Agents,
Opera.
Night at the Opera, yeah. So Tom, what was your overall?
Definitely, I kind of liked them. I really enjoyed reading them and realizing just realizing how little room they have to get the whole point across.
And when it does, but
just about all of them.
They get them across.
Yeah, they get them across. It's one of those. I think, God, this would be perfect for a first time GM. Mm-hmm. Just here's the idea. Read it for about 10 minutes.
That's actually a really good point because you may be familiar with Delta Green Need to Know, which is the free quick start guide that has the pre-generations like Kamarov and so on and so forth. The scenario in it, Last Things Last, was a shotgun scenario. That was meant, and they fine-tuned it into a starter adventure for Delta Green agents, a way to introduce them to the setting. That's
and also they're also
dead on.
It's a huge list with perfect ideas to milk from as well.
Well, and just to throw it out, so on the Dovetails of Christmas,
is that the name of the scenario you want to talk about?
Well, no.
Okay.
I'm just saying for timing purposes, we're, February 1st today?
Yeah.
Okay, during Christmas time, we always get these Danish butter cookies in the cookie tin. And we picked one up this past year that has artwork on it called A Night at the Opera. And when I was reading through these scenarios, the thought that hit me was I could take all of the handouts for any one of these scenarios. And even if I did them as 3D things, and, I'm going to fold an origami that's going to fit for this. I'm going to put in, you've got a pistol with this many bullets. I could fill every handout, or I could fit them into this cookie tin because they're that compact that you could just take this and just load it up.
That's actually that could be like a mini green box, and actually you could get a campaign out of that. Like pick up one of these handouts, and then the GM looks up that shotgun scenario and be like, okay, here's your lead. What do? You got to solve all of these.
Don't die.
Yeah, don't die, or do.
Because also
don't go insane either.
Well, death is a way out.
Survivability really varies. Some of them are actually pretty survivable. It depends though. Like
others, not so much.
Not so much. Bestowed, the hypercube one I wrote, was also a shotgun scenario, and that actually could be really survivable if you don't. I don't know, go in the paintings.
If you don't RPPR it up.
Yeah. Well, this one that I was just looking at right now, Bleach Protocol.
Oh, yeah.
So framing device on that one is 2 days ago, Cell Y was assigned the mission to pick up a dangerous package, codenamed Epimetheus, from a green box and deliver it untouched to Samuel Niche, a friendly contact. After delivery, seeing that the seals on the package have been broken, Niche immediately informed A-Cell. Due to the perilous nature of Epimetheus, A-Cell has declared Y-Cell compromised and initiated Bleach Protocol, which is the elimination of the entire cell. Here's the problem. Y'all are Y-Cell.
That was one of the ones I want to talk about, too, yeah. That one is really interesting because the way it's written, it's almost its own game. Like, they write it as a separate little kind of storytelling game. So you don't even need like the full Delta Green mechanics for that.
And this one kind of called out to me just because I looked at this one and I thought, Bilby was a bad man. This is almost Delta Green does a very thorough murder.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys are all in this together because somebody done fucked up. Now decide amongst yourselves who was it, or I'm going to start rolling this caltrop. And whoever lands on the pointy end is the one that just kind of doomed everybody. So talk amongst yourselves. Fight amongst yourselves.
Yeah. There's a degree in variance in how much like free will players have. Like you could give them like, oh yeah, here's the mission. They can do whatever. Like, oh no, you're already fucked up. You don't have a choice on that. How do you deal with the fuck up?
Who are you going to throw under the bus in the hopes of saving the rest of your asses? Because somebody's got to bleed for this.
Bleach Protocol is definitely very unusual in that it did offer this whole mini game thing. It has a lot of different tables for like you said, randomly assigning blame and who's going to respond to them and what they're so there's a lot of variance, which gives you a lot of playability, and obviously that's also a great way to like that could be sort of standardized into like, here's how Delta Green responds with cells of agents that fuck up, traitors or whatever, or like people that need to be taken out. And so that's it.
And even when you do get to the bottom, it's whatever your players chose. Epimetheus should be contagious in some way, deadly but with a delay, relentless and scary. So what are your symptoms and how long do you have to live?
Yeah.
Nothing visible, few hours. Light symptoms, a day. Severe, but 4 days. So it basically boils down to you guys are pretty much dead anyway. They're kind of trying to give you the easy way out unless you can figure it out faster than that.
Yeah. And obviously that's something GMs can easily alter. Like maybe make it secret. The players don't know. Maybe instead of dying, they mutate into a monster or something like that. What do you guys think for that premise? Any thoughts?
It's a good, it's a good doomsday countdown.
Oh yeah. That's a good way of looking at it. With the variants.
Also, it's a good illustration when you're like if you did it as a one shot. It's a good as part of a different campaign. It's this is what happens when you done fucked up.
Oh yeah.
Even if that fucking up was nothing.
That could be
did.
like you're doing a campaign and then you do a side game with different characters. And at the very end, it links back to the main campaign. Like, it's the same NPC handler or boss or something like that. So when the players come back to their regular characters, they know, oh, that's gonna be our us if we fuck up really bad.
Yeah.
So, okay. I like that.
And there are ways out of it. But one of the things that it's also, in reading the scenario all the way through, one thing that I have to throw out is that one of the big things is running the games. You basically just have to ask questions to your players, reuse their answers, and twist them. If the pace of the game is slowing down, pick or choose an opponent player or a paper. He or she manifests in the story. So basically, for running the game, you mostly put it on your players. It's, how did you fuck up?
How did you fuck up?
Like, why don't you tell me?
Tell me how you fucked up.
Show me on the doll
share
where you
that
fucked up.
But I
with
didn't
the
fuck
rest
up.
of the class.
Yeah.
Because somebody fucked up, and according to the dice, it's you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you the opportunity to try to talk your way out of this, or I'm just going to move on to the next question, which is who is after you for fucking up?
Now, you kind of need, I would say, sort of a level of trust between GM and players, because you don't want to do that and be like, you suck because the dice say you suck. Like, you want to make it to where it's a role-playing exercise and not like saying, you're a terrible player now. You're terrible at this game because of that. Like,
and
there are some groups that like would definitely happen. So, got to know your table for that. kind of thing.
Got to know your table, got to know your fellow players and your GM. Because
I would not do that at a con per se, unless I would depend on how to read it. Like, I guess if it's Delta Green, the players at most cons would know what Delta Green's about. So maybe you give a description like this is about how your character's already fucked up. So hopefully, if you sign up, you know what you're into.
Yeah, I still kind of lean back towards a very thorough murder where everything about it was yes and.
Yeah,
it's all right. This guy is dead. One of you killed him. Or in this case, it's this box was opened. Who did it?
Yeah. That's a good point. So I guess we should talk about the albatross in the room, which is, of course, my scenario. Which
Ross
didn't
Payton's.
Under new management.
Which you can listen to on RPPR.
If you like that kind of thing.
Whoa.
You're listening to this, so you probably do.
So what did you think of it? There were some comments. There was some discussion on the Discord that I found interesting, but I'll share those comments in a bit. But I kind of want your guys' input first. What did you think of the scenario as written? And Tom, you can give me the versus like written versus how I ran it. But first, let's talk about the words on the screen.
Having not listened to it, because I haven't had the time lately, and I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Ross won't take it personally too bad.
It's fine.
But I also kind of wanted to experience it at some point, and I didn't want to give myself too many spoilers. But I did give it a good read, and I have to say I love the very start of it, which is you are going in, you are going to be simultaneously trying to clean up the mess and trying to deal with all of the workers that are coming in and kind of going, what happened to Jim? Wasn't Jim the manager? And you have to mix the interpersonal skills with the investigation because you can't exactly go, all right, Aaron, you're going to be playing our face. You get to talk to all of the temps, and you're going to be the person talking to every single temp while we try to get this cleaned up downstairs.
Yeah.
But I don't want to talk to the temps. All right, here's your mop. Tom, you talk to the temps. I mean, it doesn't exactly... You're going to have a fair mix where not everybody can be downstairs, not everybody can be upstairs, but you want to have to rotate the players because if you're downstairs for too long...
Bad things happen.
But if you're upstairs for too long, it's not so much that bad things happen as much as it is that everybody who sees you is going to start getting suspicious. And if you are one of the only two people who's talking, you're going to get burned. So that was one of the parts that I thought was well written. There's consequences for whichever role you fit and whatever you do within the party, but at the same time, they're not exactly visible consequences.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, you're not going to know that bad shit's going to happen to you in the basement unless you're slightly genre savvy. And you're not going to know that bad things are going to happen upstairs, again, unless you're expecting Ross Payton.
It's Ross Payton and Delta Green. There is no correct choice.
Whoa. So, Dan, did you read it?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm just going to stay home today. I'm not going to go into work for Delta Green on this one.
There's a gas leak. Your home explodes.
Whoa.
Well, it's not so much your home explodes as much as reality is doomed because team didn't get it done.
Also, it's not that it explodes. It's that you only have time to save one person. Who is it? And why? That kind of thing.
The Ross Payton Pyrrhic victory.
It's the cat.
I'm sorry, Dan. Anyway, what did you think, Dan? Do you have any thoughts on it?
A lot of echoing of what David said is also because it's also a scenario that is ripe for those situations of, all right, so our team's got the techie in case we need to figure out tech things. Oh, shit, we need someone to talk to the temps. Well, the face is already talking to the feds. You, go talk to the temps. And role play the shit out of that, or else.
Yeah, that's true.
Ivan is no boss.
When I played it, I got it.
Talk a little bit about how the writing version of it.
It's not much difference except in just. I think it's what we. I'm glad I didn't read it before I played it.
Well, yeah, of course.
But it was, to me, as written, it's like go in and clean up this mess. But that's not the vibe I got.
Okay.
What I got was try to pretend to be a normal person for a length of time, which is like. Well, shit. That's the one thing I can't do.
Yeah. That's actually true. When I ran it was with clean pregens, i.e., pregens without disability, with the adaptive violence or helplessness or anything like that. So they were relatively high CN scores, or no crippling disabilities or anything. Not disabilities.
I also say that
mental conditions. Yeah.
Playing it for a second, I thought some of the people showing up seemed a little unrealistic, in their zeal to find out what's going on. But no, wait, I've known people like that.
Yeah,
who it's not just it's not called hey, why is the place closed? It's you can't close this down. I need this job.
Yeah, exactly.
And you want and I swear to God, at that time, all your thought is let them in and kill them. Just let them in and kill them. They're so goddamn annoying.
So to give a little background on it,
Hey, I happen to love my job, Tom.
Well, again, your job doesn't have a monster in the basement.
To my knowledge.
To your knowledge. So the premise
is it to your knowledge?
There is no monster in the basement, and his name is not Lenny.
The thing that gave me the idea for this scenario was actually Stranger Things season 2. Because first episode. It takes place the year after the first season, obviously. Well, not obviously, but that's what it does. And they have the same secret government lab. But the government has decided, not to just, they can't just shoot everybody. They can't put everyone in a secret prison because it's the U.S. That would raise more questions than,
Yeah, we can't do that again.
Yeah, I can't do that again. So they're... So what I found interesting was Paul Reiser's character, who is the doctor in charge of this secret lab, and he's basically all the other previous scientists and people were killed in season 1. Spoilers. And so Paul Reiser's character is this doctor who's taking over the lab, and he's cleaning up this mess. And there's monsters in the basement of this secret lab, but it's not so secret because 6 people know about it. The sheriff, the mother, the kids, and they're like, well, we gotta tell them to keep quiet because that would raise more attention to ourselves if they all disappeared.
It's kids.
Yeah, and he has to keep it secret from the public. Yeah.
Also,
it's Paul Reiser, and the thing that I loved about him throughout that entire season is I've seen him play the good guy in some movies, and I've seen him play the bad guy in The Snake, who is just telling you what you want to hear. And it wasn't until Aliens, the last episode that I knew which side he actually landed on.
Yeah. Well, don't spoil season 2 for people who haven't seen it yet.
Oh, I'm
yeah.
just
It's only
saying,
been
Paul
out for, what,
Reiser,
6 months?
awesome.
Yeah. So I love that idea, and so I was like, I love the idea of like he clean up someone else's mess, like, and so what's the Delta Green version of that? And of course, 1,500 words. I have to go very bare bones with it. There's a certain economy of words in writing these, and then the main thing is for Delta Green is like, why do they have to keep this place? Because their usual MO is to burn everything down.
It's the
destroy everything. Yeah. So with 1,500 words, I can't come up with. I just didn't come up with a clever space-time anomaly or whatever that would require them to do that. So I just said, yeah, a monster's going to show up in a week and eat people if you don't do anything, if you just leave the building. So that was a dimensional shambler, basically.
Well, and that's still a clever thing. I mean, for me, the thing that would be good is leave it ambiguous. Just say that.
Well, the players don't know that. Like, it's written in the notes, but like it's not. The players just know there's something weird in the basement.
Yeah. But even if you leave it to where the DM or the facilitator or whatever you call the person who runs Delta Green, if you just left the note as there is something wonky going to happen in 1 week, they have a week to clean it up, fill in the blank with whatever you want.
Yeah, and that's what people do.
There are so many different things that it could be. It could be a Hound of Tyndalis. It could be a Dimensional Shambler. It could be, this is the summoning ritual for fill in Great Old One. I mean, it could be, why is there Cthulhu in this basement?
Why not?
Whoops.
Out of Snapple.
Yeah. So for me, so like there were several people on the Discord who were talking about it, and they said that was the weakness of the scenario is that it was just a monster. It was a bug hunt at the end. Like, it was a great setup, but like because it was just it's just a monster. Like, it's not. Like, some of the shotgun scenarios get really weird and really crazy, and that's and
it depends on your players.
Yeah.
There are some people who like a round of investigation that is going to end with a bug hunt, because there's some people who go, just let me freaking shoot it. Why can't I throw a barrel at it? But then there's going to be other players who are going to want to play this game, and once they get to what it is, make it a puzzle where it's something that alters their perception to where they can't be sure of what's actually going on.
Right, and that's sort of the great thing about, like, the best Delta Green scenarios, certainly from the published ones, are all things that have, like, unexpected twists and, like, really weird shit going on that's really interesting. Like Night Floors or Convergence. Convergence has this great twist where the players are going to the small town to investigate UFO weird shit, and then the thing is, if the players eat any of the food from that town or drink any of the water from that town, they're infected with a virus that's going to 100% kill them. So unless they ate packaged food that was brought in from outside of the town, they're going to die. And that's and so some players have survived because they play super paranoid people. And that's the kind of thing Delta Green is really good at.
If Sean or Tom is running the scenario, especially Tom, I will tend to go with prepackaged food. I'm bringing all of my own rations.
Yeah.
Long pig. What?
Yeah. So
it's almost like we've
some
been
of the local
offered
delicacies.
things.
So if I were to take another shot at Under New Management, I know I would work on the basement section of it. So like a lot of if you listen to the actual play, there's a lot of weird shit I throw in the actual basement that I just improvise on the spot. Especially like Sean has these weird hallucinations at the end, and he has all this crazy shit that's happening to him. And Sean's like, yeah, no, I go with it. I shoot the cops and that kind of thing. And that's not in the scenario. That was me improvising. I just say there's weird things happening in the basement. You can make it up. Yeah.
Totally.
So
there's that freaking parrot.
Yeah. You can throw the parrot in there. Anything else, Tom, about it? Versus differences?
No, to me, I just enjoyed it. It's all the best. I think all the best stuff just came from trying to, because it's almost begging people, like, please don't come in here that we have to murder you. Please stop coming here. I want you to just like, can you people not see there are guns here?
Well,
go home.
I
also, there were times I actually at one point went, wait a minute, you're American workers. You have a day off. Use it.
Well, yeah, but there has to be
but it's
conflict in the scenario.
But it's the gig economy, Tom. A day without work is a day without pay.
That's true. Also,
If you could make sure that they are aware it's a paid day off, that's probably a fairly solid bargaining point.
one thing that did actually
It
come
would
up.
make them a lot more suspicious, but yeah.
The one thing that did come up in the actual play version, and then I have written in it, is that the fact the player, anyone with accounting, still has access to the company's computers, and they can find like over $1 million in funds that they can do.
We didn't take.
You did.
No, we didn't take for ourselves.
You didn't take for yourselves. You bribed those workers.
Well, we used it try to save people.
Yeah, well, you used it to bribe workers to go away.
Well, we saved them by us not having to kill them.
Yeah. So I find, because Delta Green agents are often, it's very much in theme of the game, of the setting, to be on a shoestring budget. And I kind of wanted to play with that and give players this temptation of like, you could take the money and run, or you could take the money and do this, or this, or this. And yeah.
Hello, funding for AK-47.
Exactly. You could do all kinds of crazy shit with it. And I wanted to see what you would do with it.
Like, what helicopter gunship defines me as a person?
Well, I think that's a little more than $1 million. So, anyway.
What helicopter defines you as a person? Because if you gift it, it's tax exempt.
So, Tom, tell us about one of the scenarios you...
I wrote down... One of them was nyctophobia.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Which is... it's kind of like...
Did you read that one, too?
I did.
Okay. Yeah, I actually...
Fear of Nicolas Cage.
No, this is fear of darkness.
Dude, come on. We're not going to...
And
We're not going to go
guys
that
who
horrific.
say
Do you know
that
AI? Someone's programming an AI to replace actors' faces with Nicolas Cage's
saw
face
that.
in various movies. Mm-hmm. So, like Lois Lane in the new Superman movie, Dawn of Justice or whatever, is Nicolas Cage.
Humanity is worth helping.
These are the end times.
No, this is the one. I like this one. It's kind of like it's like a disease of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's infected you. It's
Not really a scenario per se. It's just like, well, explain it. Yeah.
It's kind of it's a thing that can happen to your players. It's it's like a darkness starts creeping on you, and there's a figure in the darkness that you start seeing out of the corner of your eye.
Yeah, there's different stages. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gets worse and worse.
And it really doesn't. As I recall, I don't think it actually decides what happens when it finally gets you.
Yeah,
I think they left that open, but this seems like it's not so much a scenario as this can be going on while stuff is happening.
Yeah. A lot. Some people do that. They use it as kind of like, I can't get a full scenario in, but here's something to spice up another scenario. Mm-hmm. Like while you're investigating these deep ones.
It's kind of like it's like It Follows.
Yeah.
There's just something coming towards you.
Yeah.
And you can't really do anything about it, or you can. Part of it is figure out how to deal with this, but it's just, and you don't even know what's going to happen when the figure gets to you.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of reminds me of that new horror movie that's got Robert Englund in it, where a bunch of kids cast a ritual that they're not supposed to cast. I know this is oddly specific, really. But summons this dark figure into the house, and you get no benefit from it. It's just that if you lose the game, you die. And so on the surface of it, it's why the hell would anybody play that game? In this case, it's you're seeing the darkness, and it's creeping in a lot closer. It's blowing out candles. Lights are flickering and lights are burning out, and you didn't really do anything to deserve that.
Well, it reminds me, that Wes Craven movie.
Dark or Darkness or something like that?
Dark is something like
Dark,
that.
yeah.
Which is where,
not the Anna Paquin one, but the one with the, yeah.
And I love it. It's like in that one. Okay, it's like there's these creatures following you, and their only weakness is light, but they can extinguish every light source except the sun.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I guess there's the problem with doomed characters when you know they're doomed.
Yeah.
It's kind of wow, I'm kind of bored now because I know nothing they do is going to.
Yeah.
And which
are you familiar with this movie, Dan?
No, but I've already figured out how they could save themselves.
Okay.
They borrowed the giant telescope and satellite network from Batman and Robin to just bathe the area in sunlight.
Okay.
Well, if it's from a machine, I'm guessing these things could probably
Things from another genre.
Yeah, I'm guessing these things could. Well, if they can blow out candles, extinguish lights. I'm sure they can.
Flashlights.
I'm sure they can mess with a satellite.
Yeah, they seem to be omnipotent.
Which is great for for storytelling.
Yeah.
Not so much for a movie.
Yeah.
So that's why I like this one. It avoids that because I think it's like what does happen when it catches up.
It's a set of mechanics to sort of like give a GM
it's like another Doomsday Countdown.
Yeah.
And it is, according to the scenario, if they devote time and energy into researching it, because it comes in like stage 4.
I think it's up to
yeah.
But if you can stop it before or up to stage 3, you can actually rid yourself of it. But basically, you have to face the darkness, which is something that most players aren't going to lean towards because, well, I think as it was said, we have our greatest fear is the unknown. And the thing about the reason why we are still afraid of the dark as adults is it's not that we fear the darkness itself, it's we fear what's in it. And so to face the darkness that's coming for you and just kind of go, all right, what? And just face it head on is to go directly against human nature. And few people would be willing to do that, much less Delta Green characters who have seen some of the shit that's in that darkness and don't want a piece of it.
All right. But then again, it's also like it could also be like it finally catches you, it just grabs your shoulder and this... You're it, and then it runs away.
All right, that's more of an Unknown Armies thing, but yeah, that's fair.
And you're like, and at that point you're like, no, and you run after it.
Yeah. All right, that's fair. Now, not every scenario was super great. Some of them, well, there were varying qualities, and everybody, I'm sure, has their own preferences. I do want to mention 2 scenarios real quick from the same person, because there were some people who entered in multiple scenarios. Okay, it actually within the rules. So
you're within the rules.
I am within the rules. Thank you, Dan.
Well, I do have to say I saw a name on there that I recognized. Shout out to one of our followers. Congrats, William Shar, for second place.
Yep. This is not the one I was going for, but yeah, we'll get to the winners in a second. I want to mention Melon Bread. He had 2. He's also on our Discord. Because the beauty of the white woman ape must not perish from the earth. I liked that was the last entry on the list. It's a very pulp thing where the players essentially interrupt a Nazi sorcerer who's trying to resurrect this ape woman from through very convoluted sources. Mm-hmm. But I found it interesting because basically her mind is a sorcerer from the future who's been who was mind swapped with the Yithian, but her mind then got trapped in this mummy. And so the Nazi sorcerer is trying to resurrect it because he thinks he'll get occult power from it. But as soon as the ape woman, as the sorcerer wakes up, she just zaps the dude because fuck you, you're an asshole. I don't like you. But then she realizes she needs allies, and the players have a chance to actually recruit her as a Delta Green asset, and then hand her over to an NPC, a Delta Green agent, who will try and teach her languages and stuff, contemporary languages. So I find that very interesting because I like scenarios where the players can talk to the monsters, not necessarily be friends with them, but at least understand their motives. And so this is sort of like, oh, yes, we can gain great occult knowledge and we can use this to fight the mythos. But then like, oh, wait, we're helping an evil sorcerer from the future who's just going to, make the dark future that she became, she's going to try and make her timeline come true. And that's a really terrible one, judging from what she's talking about. So, do we really want to do this? So
it's like talking to Grunwald.
Yeah, exactly. So
he doesn't have your best interest in mind.
It's a temptation. It's a corruption. So,
but also, if you're talking to something, it's not killing you.
So, but Melonbread also wrote another one called Baby on Board, which was kind of a very Law and Order SVU kind of thing. Well, not necessarily. It was very kind of like, oh, she's pregnant, but she also might be a Cthulhu mythos vector. And so you're like, oh, what do we do? Do we stop a bad person who's pregnant? And I just thought that was very kind of... I mean, I see what he was going for, but I was like, okay, she's a corrupt Delta Green agent who happens to be pregnant. And what do the players do with her? And there is a different bad guy. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I thought it was kind of sort of like going for cheap Yeah, I don't know. I just think I thought it was kind of kind of I like yeah.
And if I can say something that, okay, I thought this one was a little bit of bad form.
Yeah.
But Operation Glass Walls, which was written by the same person who did Operation Woodwork, and the first sentence for it is, "It is recommended that at least one agent sent on this operation has been part of the previous Operation Woodwork, as this is a direct follow-up."
Yeah.
What that strikes me as is, okay, shotgun scenarios are supposed to be 1,500 words standalone. And the fact that this one says, flat out, somebody has to have played Woodwork first before you can do Glass Walls, kind of strikes me as a little bit of cheating. It's you're going to go for 2 scenarios and you're going to put them back to back, when really it's one long scenario.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, the author kind of spends a lot of time describing how the characters look, which is sort of unnecessary for an RPG because GMs can or should
They
be
make that up on the spot.
And
yeah.
to be quite frank, when you're looking at brevity, the fact that the start of Woodwork involves quoting Johnny Cash when the man comes around, that seems like wasted words to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not criticizing the work. I'm just saying that as far as this particular format, that would be good if you're trying to put them together for a published set of scenarios. But when you're competing for short, I think what I'm trying to get at is I think he needs an editor.
Yeah. I mean, this is a contest and not professional work. So these are. I mean, I do want to thank everybody for submitting scenarios for this. But that's a lesson. Like, be cruel to your kids. You cut if you're over the word limit.
Yeah.
That's why I may have cut too much. I cut out shit that was going to add about the basement and to get under 1,500 words, and maybe I shouldn't have. But oh well. Dan, any thoughts? You've been quiet. Yeah.
I mean, I read over Operation Magic Dragon because it references part of my growing up backyard, the Mark Twain National Forest.
Actually, that's one of the ones I wrote down too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Any thoughts on it?
I mean, it was pretty straightforward. And
lakes and caves in Missouri.
Yeah. I mean, Missouri is an untapped resource in terms of crazy, strange shit in a lot of that type of scenarios because there's lakes and caves that are lakes.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
and caves
small
under
towns
lakes
where strange disappearances have happened and people have chalked it up to hunting accidents.
Wait.
And or rednecks.
The spook
and or rednecks.
Actually, I did. This was not the one of those I read, but skimming it over, it does. What's the elevator pitch like? What's the thing that the players?
It's like someone has crashed a car and died in this lake, and to recover the body, they're just going to drain the lake.
And it's pissed off some cave dweller things,
kind of like humanoid, like human worm things.
Okay.
The description
very X-Files. Yeah.
They may look human-esque, but they are more closely related to like an alien flatworm than they are to a human.
Kind of like Fluke Man, I guess, from X-Files a little bit.
Okay.
You know that one.
No.
God, it's sound of disbelief in his voice.
No, it's one of the monsters of the week from earlier.
Yeah, no, I remember Fluke Man.
And but it's they're actually the things they're legit terrified they're going to be uncovered.
Yeah,
and they try to stop
murder the
crews.
drainage crew because that's not going to call more attention.
Well, yeah,
but they
live in a lake for a long time.
They're an alien intelligence from beyond our time and space.
No. Yeah, that's an interesting premise.
And it's really they're doing horrible.
Pretty
things.
straight up. There were some very experimental scenarios.
Well, it's one where the motives of the monsters are very clear and understandable. Like they don't want to be found.
And also, like, apparently a church owns the property that this happened on, and so they kind of don't want the bad press, so you have to deal with that as an agent.
So it's layers upon layers. I think it got me because I love the setting. Right. Like, oh, it's our backyard.
Yep.
Which can be really effed up.
I technically grew up in a section of acreage that was in the Mark Twain National Forest.
So there's monsters under there.
Oh yeah, I'm one of them. I mean, what? Hey, hi.
So yeah, a lot of the scenarios that seems almost like a really straightforward one
behind the curtain.
Some of the others, one that I found interesting was Operation Witch Hunt. Did any of you look at that one? So Operation Witch Hunt is about a book club that's found an 18th century play. And read
dear.
that, and actually, it's not The King in Yellow.
Okay.
Bullshit.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a different fucked up mythos work. It's an original one. And so that's a really interesting idea, but the scenario itself is flawed because it's like you track them down to this farmhouse, and there's this weird fucked up mirror, and that leads obviously to another universe, like you do. And you
To
can
the Swole Trek universe?
no, it's even more fucked up. So, like, a lot of the scenarios, these detailed character profiles of the book club members, and there's like 5 or 7 of them. And then the scenario is like, yeah, you can go in there, you can talk some of them into coming back. The others won't like it there in the fucked up alien universe. And if you bring them back by force, they'll kill themselves later on. So, that's it. So these people fucked up and they went to another universe. And some of them regret that, some of them don't. And so that's interesting, but not like, I don't know.
It's probably not interesting as a scenario, but it might be interesting in the using these as kind of a supplemental where you have previous relationships with members of the book club, and so now you've got a person like maybe someone's.
Yeah, it needs some work. Like, it's a great idea, but yeah, it needs a little more. But
What's the person that you can that you can shove your sanity damage off to?
A bond?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One of your bonds is one of the people that wants to stay.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. So yeah, see, with a little, you see, a lot of the scenarios fall in this category of like there's something really cool in it, but it's just not there yet.
But that's what they're intended for.
Yeah.
Ross. They're shotgun scenarios.
So we should talk about the winner, I guess, the number one guy, which is actually
guy.
yeah, Ellendell 04, and he did Operation Stop Repo, and I like the premise of this. This is actually a very mundane scenario. There's no supernatural thing per se in it. Basically, Delta Green, one of the major things is the green boxes, which are storage locations of fucked up things, that agents have to use. Not necessarily cult. They could be, stolen guns or, of dead bodies or cut up dead bodies and guns.
Or immortal parrots.
Or, well, we don't know. I mean, you just know it's just a parrot. Like,
Except it's been in there for...
Yeah. So in Stop Repo, a retired Delta Green agent is in charge of a green box, and then he dies suddenly. And so the players have to go. The thing is, it's not a green box. It's green cars in airport parking lots, long-term parking lots, and then they're towed away. And so, because the guy died and didn't have a fucking will, says, notify my illegal conspiracy to go get all that contraband and like all that really illegal stuff in these cars. So
and that one weird rock that lets you commune with an alien consciousness.
Yeah, that one. Please give that to my granddaughter.
I hope she enjoys it. Granddad loves you.
So the thing is, the Delta Green finally finds out about it and assigns the players to go track down these cars. And the thing is, the dead Delta Green agent had a bunch of NPC agents with him. He was part of a team. He was part of a cell. And so they're also like, oh shit, we need to go get these cars and secure them. And the thing is, Delta Green, being a secret conspiracy, not so good on the communication.
What?
Yeah. So you have to deal with these. And the thing is, it's a really cool idea, but it's a great premise for a scenario, but it's one that if people were rational, could be resolved with a single persuade check. It's like, hey, don't shoot. We're on the same team. Make your roll. Okay. Yeah, he won't shoot you. And
but one of these teams is the deceased agent's cell, right?
Yeah. His friends.
Yeah, by definition, they're not rational.
Well, I mean, they have stats for them, and they are. I mean, he died like he was a retired guy, or let's see,
actually retired or forcibly retired.
SL. I mean, they still have 45 sanity. Some of them, they still have positive sanity. They're not. Addiction to alcohol, depression, addiction painkillers, intermittent explosive disorder, adapted to violence, totemic compulsion,
rational thinking, eh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a chance they could not it could turn. There's a chance it doesn't turn into Reservoir Dogs, is what I'm saying.
Now, is this
A
other cell?
slim
Are they
chance,
retired
but a
cowboys or are they retired actual agents?
I think it's actually up to the GM to say whether these are program or cowboys, legitimate or cowboys. So you could say either way. So yeah, you can. But so it's a really cool idea. But like theoretically, it could be resolved in one skill check. So,
Right.
but on the other hand, if not, then it turns into like dealing. And also, like, do you really want to shoot another Delta Green agent? You know, or do you?
Silly question, of course.
Okay.
Also, a good number of Delta Green scenarios could have been resolved by a single well-timed skill check between rational people.
Name 3.
Well,
Because normally in Delta Green agent scenarios, it's against unnatural mythos or cults. It's seldom purely against other agents.
I'll start with Schrodinger's dilemma, which is the one that I was thinking earlier.
Oh, okay. You found that one?
I found that one.
Okay. Tell us about that one. What year was that in?
That one was actually the winner in 2005.
Ah, yeah. It's been going on a while.
It's an older shotgun, but it still checks out. Intro on this one is an agent is notified that a postage due item is being held for him or her at the local post office. They owe about $1 and can pick the item up during normal hours. And it's an envelope containing a bunch of clues. And I mean,
Yeah, I'm familiar with this one. It's like some money from the future and shit like that.
yeah, there's a future $10 bill. There's a palm-sized scrap of pale tattooed leather. And then a message on a folded sheet of paper. And so the message is a set of lyrics from a Tom Waits song with a thumbprint in blood that has crisscross scars in the middle of it. And let's see, when we say tanned leather, it's human flesh from an adult Asian female, possibly from the back or torso. The tattoo is of an elder sign. Mythos roll to recognize it. Lots of fun things on the bill. And on the sheet of paper, it is a Tom Waits song, Earth Died Screaming. And the blood is the agent who it was addressed to. It's actually his own blood, his own fingerprint or thumbprint, but he does not have those scars.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the things about it, this is a message from you from the future. And when you find a hidden message on the page, it basically boils down to go to this location, kill this person, otherwise bad future happens.
Yeah.
But almost all of the rolls that you have to make for it, there's a lot of cryptography that goes into it. There's a lot of investigation. There's computer use. And if you don't make all of the checks fast enough, time will get away from you.
Yeah.
But when you actually do make it there, one of the things is that a cell is compromised, and they put like 5 possible endings in there as far as how it's going to all end.
Is it real? Is it fake? Is it, something else?
Is it just fantasy? But no matter what happens with it, the way that you could end the scenario is talking to a cell. If you actually called a cell at any point in time and went, hey, this is going to sound crazy, but... you have to find the right person and you have to make the right skill check, but that's the ending that goes off the page. That's they say a cell is compromised. Is it really?
Yeah.
And can I really trust myself in the future? I sound a little crazy. I don't have any knowledge of Tom Waits in real life.
Yeah.
At this moment in time.
That Schrodinger's dilemma is one of the better Delta Green shotgun scenarios. I love it. I have not run it myself.
I do.
But it's really cool, and it's one of the reasons why I started writing for it. Is because I like that so much. I do
have to say the author for that one has got a definite background in cryptography, and it really does show.
What was the author's name? Do you know?
Hang on, let me bring it up.
Yeah, we'll go over the equal second places, then we'll continue on. So, did you guys read the second place ones?
Nope.
Okay, all right.
Sorry,
So the second place, the second one, the William Sharr one.
And that one was Johnny X wrote.
I can't remember if he's still on the email list or not. Anyways, Death is no parenthesis by William Sharr is an interesting one. It deals with the Mexican cartels. So if you think Sicario and that kind of thing, it literally starts out with like you find bodies in a wall. of a building, and it turns out they're all the same body, the same person. And so the scenario is basically there's one of the things in Delta Green is that there's someone's made a street drug out of the time viewing drug, and they call it Liao. And so someone's used a version of that drug, and it fucks him up on the time stream so that if he dies, another instance of himself pops into the timeline. And so he can never die because he's just going to keep coming back. And so this guy, of course, is making Liao, this time viewing drug, to feed other people to the Hounds of Tindalos, so the Hounds of Tindalos won't find him because they really want to eat him because he's fucking up the timeline. And so the only way to permanently kill him is to feed him to a Hound of Tindalos. And he's like, don't do that because that's really fucked up. But he's, a drug dealer for the Mexican cartel, so he's also an awful person who kills a lot of people.
So how awful is he?
Yeah.
Is he awful enough to feed him?
Yeah. So what do you do with this guy? You can't kill him because if you kill him, he'll just pop back up somewhere. Like literally, that's what happens. And he's do you flip him as an asset? Is that ethical to like make him an informant or something? So yeah, that's an interesting scenario. And then the other one is Fleur de Vie. Fleur de Vie. Yeah.
No, Fleur de Vie, flower of life.
Yeah. So it's a flower that causes people to mutate and hyper-evolve in a short period of time, which kills them. And so you have to find, and so you have to find the person. And
people's bones aren't supposed to do that.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
And you kind of have to deal with that person. And so it's a typical kind of investigation, but it's an interesting idea of a flower that's turned into, I think, a fragrance.
Well, it's essential oil and added to it.
Essential oil, that's it. Yeah.
So it's basically a perfume.
Yeah. And so what do you do with this person? And so I like that too and that's something to easily put into other scenarios. But as it is, it's pretty simple. Go find the person doing a bad thing and stop them. So, but it's an interesting bad thing that they're doing.
Sure.
Also, just reinforces the point that essential oils are bad for you.
All right, fair enough. Any final thoughts on the Delta Green scenario this year?
Definitely worth your time especially if you're like want to run something quick.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to introduce new people to it, there's a couple of really good scenarios in there that will be challenging, but not too terribly challenging. But good way to get people in feet first with a single scenario.
Yeah, I think Death with No Parenthesis is actually a really good intro to it because you could easily be regular FBI agents and you find, like 20 dead corpses of the same dude. And you're like, what the fuck? In varying stages of decay. And then you kind of have to fucking deal with this asshole who is a time manipulating drug dealer. So, well, screw that guy. Let's go feed him to him.
Ross, time manipulating drug dealer was a single from my high school ska band.
Hey-o. And with that, we'll take a break for some music, and when we come back, we'll have shout-outs and anecdotes.
Favorite.
We're back. Woo. Yes. I will probably be playing some music.
That was good music that you played.
It's probably not going to be Vaporwave, actually.
Okay, Ross, he said it. Put the gun down.
God, whoa. I'm probably going to be using music from
it's
our
not loaded.
first shout-out, which is Too Mellow. He is a producer, DJ, and he has a Bandcamp site. I'll put it up there. He
Is it Vaporwave, Ross? You got to tell us.
No, he's not. It's like lo-fi hip-hop, and it's like a video game.
Isn't that an offshoot of Vaporwave?
No, it's not.
Is it?
Show us on the doll
It's
where
not.
you played Vaporwave, Ross.
It's not. All right. Jeez. There are differences, Dad. It's really chill. It's very kind of chill hop, music. And he has a lot of different albums. He has one that a short EP that's based on Upwind. So he's been talking to Faye. So I just like his music. I've been using it a lot lately. So I bought a couple of his albums on Bandcamp digitally. So
You
dig
paid for music?
I pay for a lot of music actually these days. It's all indie stuff on. Well, I have a Spotify subscription, and then the Bandcamp music that I buy digitally for various shows. If all Creative Commons license, and of course I do buy cassettes of vaporwave, like that one that you're looking at right now from HK Express, Hong Kong Express. Who's a really good DJ, vaporwave artist.
Face, dear listeners.
I forgot even what the name of that one was.
He's looking at it like it's the movie Rubber.
It's a cool looking.
No, I haven't lit it on fire.
Whoa.
We didn't light that on fire either. We didn't let you.
David, I know you have 2 shout-outs, but what's your first one?
Well, actually, if it's okay, I've got 3 shout-outs.
Oh, yeah, sure. What's your
shout-out?
First off, everybody knows that I love dice. Really unusual dice.
Yeah.
And so this year for Christmas, I was gifted a set of Skull Splitters, and they are freaking awesome. Mm-hmm. For those who don't know, Skull Splitters are metal dice, usually with a theme and usually with a fun case. And in this case, I got a set of purple steel.
Okay.
And they are the bomb. I recommend them for anybody.
Very pretty.
Oh, very pretty. And they roll good for me, too.
Yeah. Very good. Tom?
Yeah, I have a webcomic. It is Those Unknowable. He is a mythos
Cthulhu
mythos styled webcomic, but the way he's done it, well, first of all, the guy's art style is very Mike Mignola, very awesome. Mm-hmm. But secondly, he makes the mythos. It's not horror so much; it's science fiction.
Okay.
Like it has deep ones and Nyarlathotep. They're more like aliens than they are like gods or demons. Mm-hmm. Like still Nyarlathotep is still the crawling chaos.
Okay.
But humans,
nice guy.
He has a great
super fun at parties.
But he has a great reason why it's like why all these beings are on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And his reason in the comic is in the multiverses, this universe is the only one that Earth exists. And no one knows why. No, the old ones don't know why, but they know it must be important.
All right.
And the only reason humans are so weak is that we're just a really, really young species.
I see.
Essentially, give us a few thousand or 100,000 years, we're gonna probably, if we're still around, we'll probably be able to start competing.
I see. Interesting.
So it's so humans don't automatically go nuts every time they see something. It's gotta in this one it's gotta kind of make sense. That first you see a monster like oh god, but if it's like wait, but if it bleeds we can kill it.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Oh okay.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's a lot of Call of Cthulhu.
But what I really love is the monster characters have as much character and personality as the human characters do.
I see.
The main what you think of villain. I'm doing air quotes. Is a dimensional shambler named Jaunt,
all right. who
has been given human a human mind from I think it was Yog-Sothoth.
Okay,
but he doesn't know why he was made this way, and is really having trouble dealing with it.
He's probably a real big fan of Lady Gaga. He's born this way.
Well, it takes place in the 20s, but
be literally a little monster.
Hey,
but also he did a great picture of my ghoul character.
Yeah,
and I'm guessing he's got a fairly.
And also he's
face.
gonna. And yeah. I also mentioned the author and artist. We are going to do an online Call of Cthulhu game with him soon.
Ooh,
it was his first one.
Be sure to record.
I will.
All right,
record it, Tom.
So Dan, I know you had one shout. It's kind of a shared one,
kind of a joint one, but I'll let him go.
Yeah. Well, it's shared because. Fuck you and your Christmas gifts, Tom Church.
You are welcome.
Whoa.
Yeah, I gifted it to him.
Aww.
Yeah, Tom gifted me the base game of Stellaris, and then I
just said, try it out.
Yeah, just first one's free.
Yeah, the first one's always free.
Yeah.
And then, buying multiple DLCs later. And
because, they're all awesome. They all add something.
Yeah, and now I am playing in my current map as the Custodians of Earth, the robot custodians of what's left of humanity. And I tell you, all the bio trophies that I'm accumulating in the galaxy are living lives of pristine happiness on these ring worlds I'm building for them.
The game is awesome.
Pristine happiness because you tell them? It's pristine happiness? Or?
I mean, their happiness ratings are at 90% and above. It may or may not have something to do with the drugs I'm pumping into the Atmo filters.
It's all except Steve, and Steve's just an asshole.
And that's why he still lives on what's left of Earth.
Because he's like that.
All right.
But yeah, I like the. I mean, I love the galactic.
So this is the DLC you're talking about.
Yeah, I've
Synthetic
got
Dawn.
Synthetic Dawn is where you get to play actual machine empires.
and it really feels like you're playing machines.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the ships still look kind of like, as the custodians of Earth, you still have like the Earth spaceship models.
Yeah.
They're not like super high-tech robot Borg cubes or anything like that.
Yet.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just I don't have to worry about growing food, but I do have to build a lot of energy and currency in order to pay the electric
And I love
bill.
it. Like in a lot of like in Galactic Civium, there's like the wonders. Like you can build a Dyson sphere.
Yeah. Ooh.
Or you could build I like the science snubs which are like gas giant planet size laboratories.
Yeah.
Or
Ring worlds.
ring worlds, or the sensor arrays that give you complete automatic view of the entire galaxy at once.
I will say, though, I made the mistake of building a Dyson sphere apparently around a planet that one of the neighboring empires at some point worshipped as their god.
This happens sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? But
Yeah.
it's like
they were really upset at me for a while.
because I was like, like this star is made of, forms the constellation of one of our most sacred constellations. Like,
Oh, and you're just like,
and it's one of those where you have to be like, well, you could either respond diplomatically, give them something in return, or say, science progress, bitch. Peace out.
fuck you, Orion's Belt.
Well,
it's
they
ours
got
now.
really pissed
Mike
and attacked
Rob.
me. I then proceeded to wipe them out, recolonize all their planets, claim a good portion of their population as biotrophies, and then proceeded to terraform their planets into machine worlds that could only support machines.
Okay, well, that's kind of a jerk thing.
I am protecting what's left of humanity.
I'm just
Ross.
saying it's escalating
By
quickly.
any
That
means
rapidly got
necessary.
out of hand.
And actually, I love it.
What's left of humanity.
All right.
And
All
of
right,
course,
fair
and
enough.
this February, on the 22nd, they're coming out with the Apocalypse expansion, which is now you can build Titan spaceships and planet killers.
Well, yeah, I was about to say, not like the Titan AE spaceship, but then that also is technically kind of a planet killer.
But
Well,
yeah,
it's a race killer to build.
Anyways,
it's a super addictive game.
yeah.
Yeah, it is. I spent many a weekend going, why the shit is it now 11 p.m. on a Sunday?
And what happened to my pants?
Yeah.
Those were in the hamper like the minute I walked in the door.
Yeah.
So, fuck you, pants.
So, speaking of things best done without pants, watching Netflix is one of those.
Yeah.
So, I've been watching a lot of Netflix lately. Sean recommended a series called Dark, and I finished season 1 of that. The only
What?
season that's available.
You finished a season of
I
something
did
on a
finish
streaming
season.
service?
It was-
Mother of God.
I know. It's that good. So Dark is a German series that was beautifully photographed and just great acting, incredible music, and really intriguing plot. And it starts as this mystery of this small town that lives in the shadow of a nuclear power plant. And then some teens go out at night on very teenage shenanigans, but one of their little brothers is tagging along with them, and then they just the sound happens, everything goes dark for a moment, and then the kid's gone.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
The series is called Dark, and then suddenly everything goes dark.
Weird.
What?
So the mystery of this missing child starts unraveling, and things get weirder and weirder and weirder. So you could draw parallels between it and Stranger Things, although it's far darker than Stranger Things. And Twin Peaks, and that kind of like small town with tons of secrets and a weird thing that doesn't make sense.
But from what I understand, Dark has a plot.
It does have a plot. It's
Okay,
a
so
very
it's nothing like Twin Peaks.
all right, fair enough.
Log, baby.
So it's and the thing is, I mean the plot. The thing is, my only complaint is that the plot was not really like they're clearly going to a season 2. Like that's what the story is incomplete right now. And I don't know if season 2 has been confirmed or is in production yet, but so I hope it is, because it's kind of ended on like I want to see everything finished. That like you got all these balls in the air. You're juggling all these things, all these plot points, and it's not done yet. So, so I like that. So David,
well, I'll do these two back to back, kind of quick. I also like wearable fashion, especially nerdy fashion, and right now I'm fidgeting with my crit success ring. I've got they make spinner dice rings, so basically you can have a D20 you wear on your finger, or the one that I've got right now is a 100 counter, and it's been on my hand ever since I got it. Absolutely love the thing. Highly recommend this particular brand for anybody who likes wearables in addition to dice, and the ones that can function as both are amazing. So highly recommend. And then the last funky dice I'm going to tell you about are Polyhero. They make dice that instead of being in geometric shapes are shaped like things. So they've got 2 sets that are out now, and then they've kickstarted the third. So they've got the Warrior set where the D4 is a dagger, the D6 is a sword, the D20 is a shield that you throw across the table, D12 helmet, gauntlets for your 10s so that you've got your percentiles. The Wizard set is all wizardy things like the D6 fireballs. The D8 is it's either a magic wand or it's well, shoot, I forget off the top of my head. But I do know that the 10s are potions.
Is there a wizard hat?
There is a wizard hat. It's the D20. You spin it like a top, and then it'll just kind of go ka-thunk. But the coolest 20 that they've produced so far is actually in the current Kickstarter, which is the Rogue set. So if you can picture this, it's a thin disc in the middle of a lock. And you spin it by sticking a lockpick in and twirling it, but you don't know what the numbers are until you flick the lockpick down, and then you've picked the lock, but you've also revealed what the 20 is. And as the Kickstarter is currently going on, they've also hit the stretch goal of a D4 that Caleb would actually like, because we know about Caleb and his outspoken hatred of the Caltrop D4s. In this case, they've got one that their initial Kickstarter exclusive was a grappling hook, and so they threw in rope. So the D4 is a bundle of rope. They've also got a dagger D4 in the main set, but you basically can, if you kickstart it, you can get the grappling hook and rope.
Physical reward Kickstarter.
Hey-oh. Good luck in that international shipping. No, I mean that. You'll need it.
You will.
Because it's the devil. I actually saw, sort of not quite a shout-out, but Fate is, Evil Hat is doing a Fate Dice Kickstarter right now for new types of Fate Dice. They're also doing, like, Fate Points as a stretch goal, which are, like, poker chip kind of things for you use as Fate Points.
God damn it, Ross! Why did you say that out loud?
I did, didn't I? So
you just want me to run more Fate. I see how it is.
Also, yes.
Yeah. All right. So, but they're not doing international shipping. They're just not offering it. They're saying, no, it's not worth it for us. And I can see their point. It's a huge logistical headache for a small company. You don't actually make any money doing it.
Ask Caleb?
Yeah, you ask any number of people. It's nearly impossible to make a profit doing it. So you can get your cost back, but the only way to make a profit is to charge so much that the international backer has to pay like 100% of the 200% of base price of the object to get it. Like they're 100%. $30 for $20 of dice or more. So.
Yeah, this particular set of dice, the Rogue set, it's going to be like $25 to get all of it.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're offering international shipping other than Canada, which is not exactly international when you think about it. It's like...
It actually is. It's fucking expensive to get to Canada now. So
really?
Yeah. It's not as bad as Europe, but it's not good. It's actually cheaper, in some cases, to ship to the UK and then back to Canada.
I blame the Cheeto.
Yeah, well, it's actually blame all the Republican Party because they hate the post office and have forced the post office to raise prices in order to meet various insane pension fund demands. Like the post office has to fund their pension fund 50 years in advance, which no one else on the planet does. It's really messed up. Anyway. So I have 2 more shout-outs, and that is 2 games on Steam right now. One free, one is pretty cheap. The first one is Doki Doki Literature Club, which is a...
Sean has mentioned that a lot.
Sean's, but it's...
The amount of insane fervor that's in Sean's eyes when he talks about it is discouraging.
It's worrying.
It only took me 3 hours to beat. So it's free too.
Well,
so
I'll be honest. If I see that level of insane fervor in Sean's eyes about anything, I know that it's something that he really cares about. So I'm willing to give it a look.
So it's free. It starts out like a dating sim or a visual novel, if you're familiar with that genre of game. Very much you're a Japanese high school student and you have to pick a club. So you go to the literature club and there's 4 pretty girls all vying for your attention. So which girl will you choose? And then
I'm going to pick the pretty boy in the back.
No,
character.
Can't do that. It's
because it doesn't.
It gets weird.
It's not that.
It gets weird. And it's really. It's only 3 hours, so it's worth playing. I don't want to spoil anymore. So let's see. And then finally, Renowned Explorers, which is a more straightforward RPG roguelike. Where you pick a team of 3, there's like 20 characters total, and you pick 3 of them, and so you can do all kinds of different team combos. Of these 19th century explorer types, and some of them are like, I'm a master fencer, or I'm a luchador wrestler, or I'm literally Tesla but a woman, and that kind of thing. With stun guns and electro bombs and stuff like that. And you have to go on 5 expeditions. You only have 5 expeditions to rack up enough victory points to be crowned Explorer of the Year. And you get victory points for like finding treasure, discovering, lost temples, befriending pirates, and looting them, and befriending pirates or crazy animals and stuff like that.
Speaking my language.
There's a lot of strategy in it. What I find interesting is that when you get into a conflict, you have 3 main strategies: fighting, devious, and peaceful. Devious is more like tricking or scaring people. Fighting is obvious, and then peaceful is like, hey, let's be friends. And different encounters will respond differently to different types of things, and so you can change. There's this whole thing of like changing your tactics in order to get the kind of outcome you want. So like different team combos will favor fighting versus negotiations. Weirdly enough, the luchador is really good at fighting, for example.
What?
Yeah.
Disbelief.
It's a really fun game. I beat it once in about 10 hours on sort of the low settings, but obviously you can crank up the difficulty. You can go on more. There's expansions that give it even more. Like there's 10 expeditions total, but you can only go through 5 of them. So there's replay value, and even when you go on the same expedition, it randomizes the type of encounters you have. It's a really fun, interesting RPG. So. All right. Anyways, and I think that's it for shout-outs. Okay. So we have anecdotes. We've been playing some games. David's been running games. Hopefully he'll be getting me some Red Market soon. And so, but you've been playing not that and Starfinder. So what's your anecdote today?
Well, today's anecdote actually comes off of the Red Markets campaign. And it's not an anecdote about the game as much as it is something that happened peripheral to, but I have to share. Heck of a compliment that I received, because I've been texting back and forth with a couple of our fans.
Yeah.
And I'm not as present online as I would like to be of late, but hopefully that's going to change in the not-too-distant future. But I had a request, and just to read it from the text message... I have a weird request, and I understand if this can't happen, and I apologize if I step over the line, but my birthday is coming up on the 22nd, and I was wondering if I could be turned into an NPC that meets a terrible fate in one of your games. If not, I understand. And so, at the time, I was running Red Markets, and I had...
Pretty easy to do that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, very easy. I had kind of designed my own aberrant. And I actually used his corpse as bait.
Okay.
And it resulted in one of the characters going up and facing the monster directly and dying, and one person hitting crack on 2 different humanity tracks at the same time.
So this person was sort of the warning. He's like, "Don't do this," and the player's like, "Yeah, no, we're going to do it anyway."
Well, essentially, I used him as Danny Trejo in Predators.
Yeah.
He's sitting there going, "Help me, please."
Oh, okay.
I can't feel my legs.
Oops.
And it's actually the Aberrant throwing his voice towards the players.
Oh.
And when
Jerk
they go in
move.
to try to save this guy,
Yeah.
they find out that the reason why he can't feel his legs is because at this point he's a torso.
Ooh. Oops.
And so,
Well, sometimes you're a torso.
That's a good idea for an aberrant too. Like I like that mimicry thing. Yeah.
well, among other things I did with it,
Yeah.
I basically took Human Centipede and turned it into the most horrifying thing I could.
All right. But you repeat yourself. That's fine.
Well, it's basically figured out that the way to keep the blight hot is by grafting more bodies onto itself.
Oh, okay.
And so at this point, it's got a whole bunch of legs. Its arms have 3 elbows in them. Its face now has almost like a spider's set of eyes because it's really like 4 heads put together to make one
Zygote.
big giant head. And I was just kind of calling it the Flesh Chimera.
Okay.
Did
That-
it say Edward?
It did not.
Hey,
But if I'd given it a little bit more thought, I probably would have.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the job was finding a little girl and her pet dog, and just things got south. But then, of course, I've also been running Ashen Stars, which is a Gumshoe sci-fi role-playing game. We have a complete mini campaign of that with 8 episodes or so. And Dan and Tom were both in it.
We
Right.
were.
Yeah.
Wasn't David in it
Yeah.
too?
In the
I was.
Yeah, in the other group.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Tom was in both groups, so good.
Good.
I got to play the space elf,
Yeah.
medic.
And I
They
was.
tried to calm everybody down.
I was a space armadillo medic.
Ooh.
And nobody played the leader. I like that part.
It was Gary and Barry.
Gary and Barry.
We got ours off of a bench in some park somewhere. Where'd you find yours?
I think the same because we were trying to figure out what to do with the captain, and Ross told us that's what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I think
basically-
ours was. But please don't dump me off.
So what do you talk about in that? What was memorable?
Well, I was going to say that I thought about the leader for a hot minute, and then I looked at the table around me, and I was like, nope, not going to do that.
No one's gonna. Yeah.
No one's going to listen anyway, so why dump skill points into things that won't matter?
Aw.
I think we.
And then I played the medic.
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
also
good.
the party face. And then I realized, why did I dump skill points into things that don't matter? But that's another issue entirely. The game was fun.
I think we need to talk about Bessie,
Oh, yeah.
our mascot, who became our mascot.
All right. So tell us about Bessie then.
Well, we were on a planet that was. I guess I could.
It's called Abundance 5.
Yeah,
it was a synthetic culture,
It was like
essentially
an Old West planet.
Old West. It was formerly a resort where the theme was the human Wild West, and so everyone who was on that planet was supposed to. That was their job, was to basically
it was
larve.
like Disneyland. Like you're gonna be cowboys.
Yeah, Westworld, but you're not robots, you're people. And but then an intergalactic war happened, and the resort world was cut off, and so people were like, well, let's just be cowboys for real. And
Why not?
And why not? And
So we showed
Please
up.
tell
here.
me again, why do I need to procure a toxin?
so go on.
So, but part of the industry, like they have, it's like there's cattle drives, but it's the future, and also we're not sure if cows actually exist anymore.
Yeah.
But there were cyber cows, which were they were kind of like pod morphs from Eclipse Phase, but so they were mechanical and organic. So it's kind of like it was cybernetic cows, where it was like they had AIs, well, like bad, not good AIs, but AIs in them. But they also had organic like cow, like meat tissue.
Yeah.
And that looked like real, cows, and they grew around them that you could shave off painlessly because it's a machine, and it would regrow. And we got
We got one. Designation
Bessie.
B35513.
Bessie, and we just like one of those. As soon as we found her, like, we can never be apart from her ever again. She lives on our ship now.
Yeah, apparently. I guess it was one of those things where, like, make the GM do a funny voice.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, you shouldn't have done that so well.
Moo, I am Bessie.
It's like Moo protocol initiated.
Moo protocol initiated, yes.
Well, and I just find it funny that the other team apparently spent money on things like gear, weapons, ship upgrades.
Lame.
Like, how many credits will it take to buy a space cow?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we didn't even steal it. We legit
bought it.
acquired it.
Oh yeah, we have all this money. We're not gonna whatever. We're not gonna look at it.
But we had a cyber cow on board our ship, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Every member of the crew fell in love with it, which I think is group cohesion.
Yeah.
There's a thing that keeps us together. It certainly wasn't our captain.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
also
fair.
and
did we have Barry or did we have Gary?
I think
which one did you guys have?
I think the Holiday had Gary,
I think
which
we had
was
Gary.
yeah.
So we had Barry.
Yeah.
And also, I was playing one of the bug aliens, and his thing was food tourism, because they're all about they just have to constantly eat.
Yeah.
That's kind of their thing. So, but in some, that's their whole purpose of life, is to travel the galaxy to find new and unique, tastes.
Yeah.
Which cannot be sentient beings. That's totally right out.
Genetically engineered out of your species.
But so my character had that one, one on what was our ship? Were we the Holiday?
No, you were the Silverhawk.
Yeah, we were the Silverhawk. That I had that, and I would eat something all the time and then roll a d6 to determine what I thought of it.
Yeah.
And Cyber Cow Meat roll came up a 5.
Yeah.
So it's
Good.
quite only one thing ever came up a 6.
What was that?
And that was space coffee.
At the space prison.
Yeah,
The space prison coffee.
Yeah.
Of all things.
And when we encountered another one of my species, first you need to try this coffee.
Yeah.
And he agreed, oh my god,
It's really good.
that is insanely good.
Did you get a 1 on anything?
Yeah, it was.
Do you remember?
It's in the book. I'd have to look at it. It's I wrote everything down.
Yeah. No,
I think it was some form of meat that I had.
Was
on
it the space tacos?
Might have been the tacos. Something I rolled a 1. Oh.
Do you remember what planet it was on?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll do post-mortem when I get back.
I'm sure when Ross does his thorough editing job of the recordings, he'll be able to parse that out.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I'll just make that note right now.
But it was a game where all of our characters came together.
Yeah. I think it was fun. The thing is, the way I'll probably revisit Ashen Stars and just do one-shots, but you guys can use your same characters for it. So
Yeah, they all lived.
yeah.
I will say, it's I enjoyed...
I am under the impression that would be an enjoyable experience.
Yeah. As much as you were allowed to enjoy things.
Emotions are things for weaker races.
No,
Yeah.
it's about-
Anyways, Dan, sorry, what were you saying?
I'll say it's I like Gumshoe when it's done as an investigation and or adventure game.
Mm-hmm.
It's really well done.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the system. I enjoyed the plot. The things I did not enjoy had nothing to do with any of those things.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that off screen. Certainly, some players are a little more rambunctious than others. It can be hard to get focused. But yeah, that's a separate episode. We can talk about that when I get back. Anyways, this has been RPPR episode 151, Shotgun Summaries, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Woo!
Woo!